Hey, how's it going, everybody? Josh here with Desert Gardens Homestead. So I'm out in the yard. I received some apricots yesterday, a nice little bunch of apricots from the food distribution here locally. And so anytime that I get any kind of stone fruit or nuts like chestnuts or hazelnut, I always have a tendency or a want to go ahead and cold stratify them and stick them inside of the refrigerator and try to sprout them out. And I usually have quite a bit of success doing it. And so I've got a whole bunch of apricots, and I wanted to just bring you along today and just kind of show you how I go about doing it. And then in the future, whenever you get any plums or peaches, nectarine, apricot, anything along those lines, go ahead and after you finish the fruit, take the pits or the seeds and stick them in the refrigerator and sprout them out. And then from there, you can pot them up, and sometimes they're going to be very vigorous. Sometimes not so much. Sometimes they'll just peter out and fall and falter, and that's fine. Um, only the strong will survive. And then in the future, you could always graft onto those a known variety, maybe onto one branch, and just keep the original seeded variety. And the fruit may be superior. There's this kind of myth or misconception that seeded fruit will always be inferior to a grafted known variety, and that's not true. That's not always the case. And so it's worth playing around and experimenting and just trying some of these new varieties out. And if the fruit is superior, or if it's very tasty, then that can be your cultivar. That could be your variety, and you could name that variety whatever you so choose. And so it's a pretty neat thing. And so let me bring you along here, and I'll show you how I go about doing it. Okay, so I have this bunch of apricots here. There's 15 total, so I've already eaten, what, 11 of them. So I'm just gonna go, a couple of them were rotten, so that's the main reason I got them. They were like classified as animal food. So I just opened up the rotten ones, took out the pits, and so I've still got a munch on these. Let me show you the seeds that I've got thus far. And here are the seeds that I've saved so far. So what I have here is I have a baggie. On the baggie, I write exactly what it is, in this case, apricots. I put today's date, and then I always go out 3 months. So I've got today's date, and then I write 3 months out, which would be September 2nd of 23. And that's the earliest I know to open up the bag and check to see if I have any that are sprouting or rooted. Sometimes you'll see them clearly in the bag. And then you could just open it up as soon as you see that. But if I don't see anything, I'll just periodically check the bags and look at the date that I've written down at the bottom, and then I will know precisely when I can go about opening the bag. So I've got my baggie, I've got my seeds, I've got a few more seeds to eat here, and I'll show you the next step. All right, I'm over here at my plant station. I have all 15 pits. I have my baggie. And I also am going to be using my really good sunshine mix. This stuff is just a little expensive, but it's well worth it. This is my premium mix that I always mix in with biochar, and some of the cheaper Kellogg's Patio Plus is my go-to mix for potting soil. But in this case, anytime I do seeds by themselves or propagate pits or cold stratification, I typically always use the finer mix, which is this. And it has just a lot of perlite in it. It's got some mycorrhiza, and it's just a really nice fine mix. You grab some here and you can just see it's just really beautiful and fine. And so this is my go-to. So what I'm gonna do is just fill up this little Ziploc baggie full of my sunshine mix, and I'm going to wet it down and then just squeeze out all the remaining moisture to where it is moist but it's not soggy. And so I'll just get all the excess moisture out, and then I'll go ahead and start plugging in my seeds. Hang tight. And for all of you that have been watching my channel for some time, you'll remember the video I made on this hidden hugel raised bed, circular bed. And I did go ahead and just plant a watermelon seed. And so I've got a nice watermelon vine going here. And it is very happy, and definitely with the hugel bed, it is very drought tolerant. So I think it's gonna work out really well, and I'll keep you posted. But I have my little baggie here. I've filled it up with the sunshine mix. I'm gonna try to do all this one-handed. So what I'm gonna do is open up the bag, and I'll just go ahead and give it a nice soak. Make sure that the moisture makes its way all the way down to the bottom of the bag. Oops, easier said than done with one hand. Might be a good position there. Okay, and so I'm kind of looking at the baggie here. You can kind of tell where the moisture is migrating to. It's almost near the bottom at this point. I think if I give it one more spray, it will probably be pretty good. And that's looking pretty saturated at this point, maybe a little oversaturated. So what I'm going to do, I won't be able to do this two hands, but I'm just going to invert the baggie upside down, and I'm going to squeeze all the soil within this baggie just to get all the excess moisture out of the bag. So it'll be nice and moist, but not soggy. So I'm just basically going to squeeze it like a sponge. Hang tight. Okay, well, I went ahead and squeezed it, and you can see I got just a little bit of excess right on the top of the watermelon patch here. But this is just nice, and the soil's kind of clumping together, which is a good sign, showing that it's moist, but it's not soggy. And so this is going to be the perfect moisture to go ahead and put those pits in. And I do not water these again at all. So once you put the pits in, you seal it up and you put it in the refrigerator, and then all you have to do is just check on it periodically. So no need to resaturate or anything along those lines. And so I'll bring you back over to the plant station and we'll put the pits in. And just look at Mr. Moses up there. So majestic, as somebody said yesterday. And he is truly king of the tower here in Goat Paradise. And just wanted to share that view of Moses with you. You can just see the humidity on this bag already. And so what I do is I just start plugging in the pits. And I just push them all the way down. I've got 15 of them here, so I want to make sure they're pretty well spaced. And so the first ones I'm just going to be pushing pretty much near the bottom. And then as I go, I'll just be pushing them around. They don't have to be, you know, perfectly spaced or anything along those lines. You do want them within the soil for the most part. But it's, you know, it's not critical. There's no, you know, perfect way or scientific way to do this. It's just, you know, plugging them in there. And so you could even just put quite a few together like that, and then just kind of smush the soil around them. I just like them to be immersed into the soil. I think that it, you know, with the moistness of the soil, and it just gives the roots something to hang on to once they're finished. So that is it. Now I'm just going to go ahead and seal up this baggie, and I'll show you where I put them. Okay, well, this is my exterior refrigerator. And so some of the items the treats that I like to give my chickens and goats and my dogs, I put out here. But my little cubby is right in here. And so right in this crisper drawer, I have a couple other items. Let's see, I've got some, I think this is gummy berry. Yeah, this is some of the gummy berry from out in the yard. And then I have some Nanking cherry. So I already have a couple things cooking in here. And so I'll just go ahead and put my apricots. Oh, sorry for the camera action there. I'm trying to do all this one-handed. Put the apricots just right there. I may come back in and just readjust them so they're on the bottom, because I know I'm going to be checking those last. So, but I just set them right there in the crisper drawer. My dogs are eating in here, and I got my daughter's dog here, so there's a little bit of testosterone in the air. But that is that. So let me show you a couple plants out in the nursery that are a few years old, and I'll show you a couple things that I've worked on here. Okay, walking up to the nursery, and let me see if I can grab this one. This is one I think I did about 3 years ago. See if I can get it out here. I just watered them, so they're gonna be a little heavy. And there is one. It's reaching, oh, it's, I don't know, 3.5 feet, maybe. Almost pushing 4 feet tall. And it is an Emerald Beauty. Oh, I did it back in 21, March of 21. So it's been a little over 2 years, two years and 3 months, give or take. And this was a really neat plum that I received. It was a green plum, very tasty. Now the pits will never be true to the fruit that you got, so there can definitely be difference. But you know, it's going to be somewhat similar. But I just really like this fruit, and so I had done quite a few, and this was really the only one out of that bunch that took. And so, you know, out of the 15 I just did, I may only get, you know, 2 or 3, maybe even 1, sometimes none. So there's really no guarantee. And sometimes even when they start rooting and sprout and you go ahead and plant them, sometimes they'll just fizzle out and they may grow a little bit and then just die off, and they're just not very strong or healthy or vigorous. And so you know that the ones that actually do make it are a very vigorous specimen. And so those are really the ones that you're looking for. So this was one I did a couple years ago from Pitt, and he's very happy and healthy, and I could always graft onto it and go. I've got all kinds of plum here in the yard, so if I don't end up liking the fruit that's on it, I can certainly graft onto it. But it is just another variety that I could have in the yard, and once I taste it, I'll name it something neat, and it'll be my variety. Let me show you another one. Here's another one. This one is pushing almost 2 feet tall now, and I actually did a video on this one, actually a couple videos. I think I did one doing the cold stratification, and then I did one update video either in December or January, just showing an update on it. But this is that Frida's Angel Cot, and so this was a really unique variety of apricot. And so I went ahead and did all kinds of pits on these, and I believe this was the only pit that actually sprouted, but it did take really well and it grew, and so it is doing very well. It's got all kinds of new growth coming up, and so this is another one that I've done, and it just goes to show you. And I've probably got, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 others in here, some plums and other odds and ends that I have done the cold stratification. Actually, I've got those quince. These came from a pineapple quince that I cold stratified, and I've got a couple in that pot, and then I've got a whole bunch more down there. So I've got all kinds of quince, and actually this quince right here, I actually grafted on a pear. So I've got some pear, I've got pear and quince on this one little tree here. So that's just kind of a neat thing with quince, you can graft on pear variety, and so this will be a dual fruiting little bush or tree. So this is just a really neat thing that you can supplement if you come across some really neat fruits, maybe some of the hybrids like the plueries or plum cots and different odds and ends that you can find in the store. Go ahead and keep those pits, and once you finish the fruit, put them in a baggie, seal them up, make sure they're nice and moist, wait a few months, and go ahead and check on them. So I certainly appreciate you checking out this video. Certainly appreciate you checking out the channel today. And I wish you all green thumbs, happy and blessing days from our Father above. And thanks again, and have a great weekend. Take care.